Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of the sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like the chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish. The New Living Translation starts off this way: Oh, the joys of those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or stand around with sinners, or join in with mockers. But they delight in the law of the Lord, meditating on it day and night. They are like trees planted along the riverbank, bearing fruit each season. Their leaves never wither, and they prosper in all they do. But not the wicked. They are like worthless chaff, scattered by the wind. They will be condemned at the time of judgment. Sinners will have no place among the godly. For the Lord watches over the path of the godly, but the path of the wicked leads to destruction. But this text talks about the way of the righteous and the way of the unrighteous, the way of the righteous and the way of the wicked, the way of the godly and the way of the ungodly. Talks about how the blessed can not only be blessed momentarily, and not only be blessed potentially, but if you follow the pattern of this text, the blessed is permanently blessed, positionally blessed, and blessed with perpetuity. What does that mean, Pastor Smith? That means that the blessed of God is blessed, blessed, blessed no matter what. This text is very clear because it paints the picture, and it starts off with the word blessed. The word blessed, which means in its original translation, it comes from the origin or the word Makarios. And the word Makarios really means happy, which means you could read this text, happy is the man. And since we're talking about the anatomy of a blessed life, this does not mean man as male, but it means man as mankind. It is anthropos. It means human. It means mankind. Starts off with the word blessed, which means happy. That word makarios means to be happy in God. There's a difference in worldly happiness and godly happiness. In other words, godly happiness is based on our connection with God. Worldly happiness is based on external collection. It is based on what you can get to make you happy. It is based on happenings. It is based on happenstance. That kind of happiness don't last always. That's the reason you always hear about happy hour. You don't never hear about happy day. You'll never hear about happy week. You'll never hear about happy month. And some of y'all every week go to happy hour. But there's something suggestive there. It suggests that it's only temporarily. It only lasts for a little while. In fact, worldly happiness is based on the perimeter of what's happening. What does that mean? That means that as long as things are happening for us, then we can say we're happy. But what happens when the happening stops happening? Some of you are familiar with spirits. I didn't say the spirit, but some of you are familiar with spirits. Some of you know a little bit about Jack, Grey Goose, Blame it on the Henny. Hypnotic. Those kind of spirits are designed to keep you happy while the spirits are working on you. Long as you got the happy needs in you, those kind of spirits are designed to keep you happy long as you consume the happenings. Don't look at me like you don't know. But after the happenings are gone, those kind of spirits result in hangover. Are you listening to me? Somebody in the room is smarter than me. You saying, well, you don't know me, Pastor. I know what to drink. I don't have no hangovers. But the reality of it is that those happenings are based on what's happening. It's based on the happenings in your life. Now, I want to stop long enough and tell you, before I move forward, that if you are basing your life on things, whatever the things are, that everything, anything you call a thing, is temporary. It is not perpetual. It is not permanent. This text is designed to not only make you happy, but keep you happy. Am I preaching to somebody in the room? It is designed to keep you happy because it is not based on happenings in the world. It is based on our internal connection with God. And so it starts off this wonderful book of Psalms with the word blessed. That word blessed shows up in one chapter more times than anywhere else in Matthew 5. In Matthew 5, you read it, it says blessed, 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 blessed. It is written there in a pericope that we call the Beatitudes. You don't have to be a seminarian, you don't have to be a theologian, you don't have to have studied in Bible college to understand what the Beatitudes are. I can tell you how you can simply understand it from layman's terms. Is just turn it around. Because the Beatitudes are the attitudes to be. Can I teach a little while? And then when you move from the Beatitudes in Matthew 5, those of you that have studied the Beatitudes, you see things like blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for verily they shall be fed. Blessed are the peacemakers, for theirs is the kingdom of God. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. It goes on to what we call the similitudes. Because after the Beatitudes, or the attitudes to be, then it says, now let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works. Glorify your Father which is in heaven. It goes on to say that you are a city on a hill. You are a light that cannot be hid, which means the job of the church is to not only give the world flavor, but to give the world light. In fact, those of us that are saved know that we have been delivered and pulled out of darkness. In fact, the literal meaning is that we've been snatched. The late Dr. Caesar Clark says we've been snatched as a burn from the burning. Are you listening to me? We've been pulled out of darkness into the marvelous light. And so what this particular psalm does is helps us to understand that we should live in abundance and that we can be blessed for the rest of our days. I think I need to stop long enough and help you understand, and we're going to get to it in verse number 2, because verse number 2 says, and whatsoever they do, they shall prosper. I think that I need to, verse number 3 rather, I think that I need to help us understand as we move toward that, Henderson, that word prosper in the Hebrew, or rather in the Aramaic, is the word salak. T-S-E-L-E-C-H, salak. And the word salak does not mean prosper like we think prosper. Because when we think prosper, we think of cars and cash and cribs and Caribbean cruises. But that's not how God thinks about prosper. Because the word prosper in its original transliteration means to push forward, to advance, and to move to the next thing. Boy, I think I'm going to preach today. I do. I feel it. And so when the word of God says that we have to prosper based on the fact that we're blessed, part of what comes with being blessed is the fact that we can move forward. You ever ran anybody that's stuck? I hope I'm not talking to nobody stuck. You ever ran into folk that's stuck? They back, you know, they on something else. You trying to move forward. Y'all not helping me preach. This is a rhema word for somebody. He says now, he doesn't want us to be stuck, but he wants us to live a life of prosperity. We have to live a life of being able to advance. Let the church say advance. Being able to push forward. Say push forward. Being able to move to the next thing. Somebody say greater. Because really what the text is trying to say is the text is tailored to teach us and tagging us to know that, listen, if you're going to be blessed, you can't be blessed stuck. Some of you can't speak to your neighbor because you're stuck. Some of you can't move to the next thing because you're stuck. Am I preaching to anybody in the room? But Paul says, I forget those things which are behind me. Y'all help me preach. And I press toward those things which are before me. And I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling. Now let me tell you something real simple and elementary and fundamental and rudimentary is you cannot get the promise stuck in the past. Can you tell your neighbor, let it go? Tell them. You know, they look at another neighbor, say, let it go. Whatever it is that's got you stuck right there. Let it go. If you stuck, just let it go. Just let it go. I mean, we using iPads and iPods, and you still got 8 tracks. Let it go. Y'all ain't following me. I wish I had somebody. I mean, you stuck. The psalmist says you can have perpetual happiness because this is a no-nonsense approach to prosperity. And he gives us some pointers, and I want to remind you of what they are. And then I want to land somewhere in verse number 3 and 4. Because he says, now listen, if you are going to be perpetually blessed, y'all going to help me preach? If you're going to be, let me see you if you want to be blessed. Let me just see. Let me see. Now let me hear you if you are blessed. Let me hear you. Yeah. I want some folk to call those things that are not as though they are. I want some folk in the room that know I don't care what the devil say. I don't care how the devil treat me. I don't care what it looks like. I'm blessed. I don't care what I'm going through. I'm blessed. I don't care what bills are due. I'm still blessed. I don't care how broke I am. I'm still blessed. I don't care what's happening. I'm blessed. So he says, if you're going to be perpetually blessed, if you're going to be permanently blessed, if you're going to be blessed with perpetuity, first thing you got to get is the right counsel. That's what he says in verse number 1. Blessed is the man that walk not in the counsel of the ungodly. What does that mean, Pastor? That means not only must you have the right counsel, you got to have the right conversations. See, too many folk are in your ear that shouldn't be in your ear. Too many folk are talking to you that don't even mean you no good. I mean, you so busy trying to impress folk that don't even like you. You got to get the right counsel. I hate to burst your bubble apart with a stick pin of reality, but here you go. Can I just tell you something that you may not really think about, but I'm going to just tell you. Some of the folk that you lose and sleep over, if you would just let go, you'd go to sleep. Because some of the folk you're losing sleep over are sleeping and snoring. Well, I feel like preaching. So he said, listen, you got to, first of all, you've got to have the right counsel. And the reason that you need the right counsel is you need folk that are conversing with you, that are for you. Sometimes people end up tripping on stuff that ain't even true. Because sometimes folk will just run with stuff. You ain't even checked it out. You just run with it. You ain't even, somebody just told you. And you tripping on something somebody told you that ain't even true. And you just tripping because you've taken what somebody said and you running with what somebody said when you need to be wise enough to check it out. I hate to tell you, if you're not an eyewitness, you're a false witness. When folk come to me with stuff, I say, did you see it? Were you in the room with them? Do you know it for yourself? Don't talk to me unless you saw it. Preach, Pastor Smith. He said you got to have the right counsel and you've got to have the right conversation. You need to watch and guard your ears. Be careful who you let speak over your life. I feel like preaching in this house. Everybody ain't prophesying. Some folk prophet lying. Be careful who you let in your space. I love you, and we children of God, and I'm so glad that I'm a part of a wonderful church. But everybody can't get in my space. I got to protect this here. I wish I had a witness here, because you may have the wrong kind of spirit. You can't come up in here. Some folk you got to love from a distance. Love you, baby, love you. Good to see you. So happy to have you. But don't come up in here. I don't need that kind of stuff around me. Tell your neighbor, protect your space. Tell them. Tell another neighbor, protect your space. Tell them. Tell them. Let me tell you what happened. Grandmama and them said it this way. They did not have seminarian degrees, but they knew one thing. They knew that birds of a feather flock together. Walk like a duck. Quack like a duck. It's a duck, baby. I wish I had a witness here. And if you hanging with them, then you're going to be labeled like them. I wish I had a witness in this room. And you got to know who can be in your space. You got to have the right counsel. You got to have the right conversation. But then it said, not only blessed is the man that walk not, because, note the progression in the text. Are you listening to me? Note the progression. He says, you start off walking. And before you know it, you stop and you stand. You stand there long enough and you start sitting. Do I have a witness here? And if you're hanging with a dog that's got fleas, baby, fleas gonna get on you. I wish I had a witness. Y'all help me preach. Help me preach in this room. So he said, you got to have the right counsel. You got to have the right conversation. But then the next thing is you got to have the right company. I ain't trying to get in your business, but I need to help you. Because sometimes you carrying folk that you shouldn't be carrying. Think back over your life. And if those folk that's in your space ain't helped you, and they've not made you better, they've only made you bitter, then baby, you may need to exchange your company. You may need some folk in your life that's designed for your betterment. God told us to love folk. He didn't tell us to like everybody. And you got to know, listen, this is about your destiny. Can I preach to somebody in the room? Tell your neighbor, this is about destiny. I mean, stop trying to, make everybody ain't going to like you no matter what you do. Stop trying to make everybody like you. There's some folk in your life that's going to hate you anyhow. Can I preach it the way I feel it? Let me see. Okay, I guess I can say it. Some Negroes, you can do everything for them, and they will still not like you. They will still not support you. They will still not be on your side. So what's the moral of the story? You better check your company. Do I have a preaching crowd here? He said, don't stand with sinners. Make sure that you're in the right company. You need to surround yourself with people that's like-minded. You need to surround yourself with people that's for your well-being. You need to surround yourself with people that's ride or die. You need to surround yourself with people that you can trust. You need to surround yourself with people that's got your back, that will not only pray for you but cover you. You need to surround yourself with people that's on your side. And you've got to learn how to delete some folk in your life. You got to be tough and have tough skin. And you got to say, see, you wouldn't want to be you. You've got to learn how to honorably discharge some folk that are in your life, because everybody that's in your life is not designed to ride with you to your destiny. Everybody can't sit in the front seat of your life. Some folk need to stay behind, because what God has for me, it is for me. I don't need no blockers. I don't need nobody hindering me. I don't need nobody getting in my way. Get behind me. I've got somewhere to go, and I've got to change my company. Positive people around me. You ever ran into folk that were once positive and now they're negative? They've been hanging with somebody. Somebody been in their ear, and it rubs off. It's contagious. You hang around nasty folk, you get nasty. You hang around mean folk, you get mean. You hang around negative folk, you get negative. I don't want nobody negative around me. Tell your neighbor, you got to have the right counsel. You got to have the right conversations. Do I have a witness here? You got to make sure that you're ingesting the right thing. That's the reason I tell people all the time, don't let people bring you trash. Because if you take that trash one time, they'll keep bringing you trash. Do I have a witness here? But when people bring you trash, you say, come on, let's pray about it. They'll never bring you no trash no more. Do I have a witness here? They don't want to pray about it. They want to talk about it. But you need people in your life that's designed for your betterment. And anybody that talk to you about somebody else will talk to somebody else about you. They'll bring a bone and they'll carry a bone. And then when they get to the next person, they'll tell them what you said. Do I have a witness here? But you got to learn how to cut people off. You got to learn to have the right company. Is there anybody in the room that know the company that you keep will help you or it will hurt you? I wish I had a witness here. One theologian said, either the people in your life, either they're armor bearers or they're pall bearers. I wish I had a witness here. And I don't need nobody to help me do bad. I can do bad all by myself. You got to learn how to cut some folk off. Just go through your cell phone. Change their name to do not answer. Boy, I feel like preaching in this house. That's what you got to do. Because there's some folk, every time you talk to them, you're always worse after the conversation. Do I have a witness here? And you need some people that will help you to do better. Can I preach to an army? Is there an army in the room? You don't want to fight with coward soldiers. But I need somebody that needs some real soldiers. Some ride or die kind of soldiers. You don't want punks in your life. You need some real soldiers that will stand with you, that'll fight with you, that'll walk with you, that'll cover you, that'll stand by your side. They'll tell you when you're wrong, but they'll tell you when you're right. They'll celebrate you. They'll push you. They'll stay with you. You don't need folk to pull you down. Got to have the right counsel. You got to have the right conversation. You got to have the right company. But I really like this point. You got to have the right connections. You ought to not be connected to anybody that don't bring anything to the table. If you're the only one that's bringing something to the table, I wish I had a witness here, but they can't never bring nothing to the table. They only text you when they want you to pray for them. They only call you when they want you to pray for them, but they never text you and say, I'm praying for you. They never call you and say, I'm there for you. You just keep on bringing, but they never bring. They just keep on taking. And I'm made up in my mind that for the rest of my life, I'm going to fire the takers. For the rest of my life, I'm going to cut the takers. I need people in my life that can bring like I bring. If I bring encouragement, why don't you bring some encouragement? Have I got a witness here? If I can help you, why don't you help me? You need somebody in your life that can bring and stop taking. Have I got a witness here? If you got people that's taking your smile, if you got people that's taking your joy, if you got people that's discouraging and not encouraging, you need to fire them. You need to cut them off. You need to say, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya, but I need some new connections. Now I need about 100 folk that can stand to your feet. If you truly believe that God will put divine hookups in your life, I wish I had somebody that know God knows who you need. God knows what's good for you. And every now and then, people will come in your life for a reason, but some will come just for a season. Stop keeping folk when their season is over. Stop holding on when their season is over. Give the benediction. Let them go. Get somebody that's for you and not against you. Well, he says the character has got to be right. And I'm getting ready to close. But I need you to understand that he uses the word meditation. In verse number 2, he says, he shall be like a tree. No, that's verse number 3. But in verse number 2, it said that he meditates on the law both day and night. Now that word meditation is the same as consecration. but it really means regurgitation. Because what the simple fact of the word in that text, meditation, is an origin, or it derives from a cow that chews on its cud. Now, what does it mean? Somebody said, Pastor, I never lived in the country. I don't know what you're talking about. So let me help you for a moment. See, a cow chews on its cud. Now, what is its cud? Some folk believe that a cow has 4 stomachs. But what really means is that a cow really has 1 stomach, but with 4 compartments. And what happens is when a cow eats, he digests the food and it goes down to a lower stomach. Most cows are chewing at least 8 hours a day. If you ever pass by a farm, you'll see a cow chewing, even when it's not hay around. If you ever pass by a farm, you'll see cows that are just chewing on the cud. Because what really happened is they ate it earlier, but it's coming back up. And that's what happens when you meditate on the word. Pastor may preach it on Sunday morning, but you may be in trouble on Tuesday evening. And what you heard on Sunday, you can regurgitate it and start chewing it again. When the devil is on your trail, you can chew it again. When the enemy is behind you, you can start chewing on the cud. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Am I preaching to anybody that know what I'm talking about? I wish I had a witness here that could testify that if it were not for the word I heard on Sunday, I would have been in trouble. But when I got in trouble, I start chewing on what I heard earlier. Is there anybody here that know his word can be chewed over and over again? You got to digest it. You got to know that the Lord is your shepherd and you shall not want. You got to know that he was wounded for your transgression. He was bruised for your iniquity. You got to know that all things work together for the good. Boy, I feel like preaching. You got to know that if God be for you, who can be against you? High five your neighbor and tell him, neighbor, I meditate on the word of God day and night. And then I'm like a tree planted by the rivers of water. And whatever I do, you can talk about me. You can lie on me, scandalize my name, but you can't stop me. You can't block me. I'm blessed. Blessed in the city. Blessed in the field. Blessed in my going out. Blessed